Hello, and welcome to Adventures in TV Land. This video will be a little bit different from most of the other videos, most of the other content on this channel. Today's date, the day that this video will come out, is June 4th, 2024. 35 years ago today, one of the most, in my lifetime, horrific, I guess, events occurred and happened, and that is the Tiananmen Square Massacre in Beijing, China. Now, many of you out there, many viewers, you probably do not know, you may not even know about the Tiananmen Square Massacre. I know when I was substitute teaching, and I substitute taught about 5 or 6 years ago, a world history class, that event was not even discussed in the textbooks there, history textbooks. It's quite sad, and in many ways because of the political influence, not only abroad, but here in the United States as well, by the Chinese Communist Party, and the control they actually have that many people do not know and do not recognize. Anyway, so 35 years ago, 1989 was a pivotal year in the world history, because 1989, that was the year that the Soviet Union no longer really was what became was the Soviet Union. The Russia, it gave up its trying to control the Eastern European countries that for so long it had controlled and had succumbed and taken as part of the Soviet Union. Many of those countries gained their freedom. Many of the countries that weren't a part of the Soviet Union, but that were themselves were separate countries, but had been influenced and were in many ways controlled by the Soviet Union, they gained their independence finally and fully. Poland, for instance, just at the top of my head, that was kind of the starting point. And then Germany, because in November of that year in 1989, in Germany, the Berlin Wall came down, it collapsed, and Eastern and Western Germany became united again. Maybe not officially, but they were the people for so many years who had been separated, the country, they were united again, and families were able to see families. Some hadn't seen each other. There were parents who hadn't seen their children for almost 50 years. There were grandchildren who got to see their grandparents for the first time, and all kinds of other things. That was in the year 1989. In many ways, 1989 is it was in many ways kind of like the worldwide 1776, because the world at that point, for the most part, not completely, because we are seeing vestiges of it now rearing its head in our current society and throughout the world. But at that point in 1989, the world threw off the shackles of communism. It threw off all those rules, all those obligations for freedom, for individuality, for a common bond with their real brothers and sisters, to be free and independent and to have control of their own lives and their own destinies. But in China, the story was much different. In China, it seemed to think it appeared for a long time throughout the first part of the summer, although it wasn't summer, but the late spring of 1989, for about 2.5, 3 weeks, it reached a boiling point in China where the college students there, they protested. There were all these demonstrations, and with everything else that was going on in the world, it really felt that the communism in China, the Communist Party, might actually succumb and might give up and allow the people to have what they so much desired to have, their own freedom, their own independence, to live as free people. But that is not what happened. That is not what occurred, unfortunately. And on June 4th, 1989, the Communist Party of China and the days, a little bit the days before and the days after, but because I guess basically from June 2nd to about June 4th of 1989, the Communist Party of China, they executed all these college protesters. Some of them were college students. I mean, other protesters. They mass, huge, which in the United States the numbers seem overwhelming, but the number of arrests that were made, and they brought in tanks and just bulldozed people and shot people and murdered them. You can find, I've posted sometimes because I vowed that I would not forget this date, the date of the Tiananmen Square massacre, and that's where the largest and perhaps the most significant part of the event happened. However, there was a ray of hope. There is a ray of hope, and on June 4th of each year, or around that time, I tried to show my solidarity with the Chinese people and let them know that there are people in the West, there are people in the United States who have not forgotten what occurred that day, who have not forgotten what almost happened. And everything about that event, I mean, and the things that were happening there in China can be summed up in an image some of you may have seen, many of you haven't, but it'll be this video clip on the last part of this video, which the video was taken from CNN. I don't know, not the video footage, but it was of a lone man walking into the middle of the street and stopping in the middle of a street, and a tank stopped there in front of him. It was an onslaught of tanks that were coming. This line of tanks, it was stopped by that lone individual, that lone man. And that image, I mean, I don't know how it got out of the country, in all honesty. I mean, this 1989, there was no internet. I mean, the photographer, whoever took the original photograph, and the videographers who were there and who had the video footage, some of the best, the most miraculous footage, perhaps, of modern history in some ways. But that image sums up everything. That in that sequence, when you watch the video of the lone man stopping those tanks, no one really knows what happened to that man. I mean, he walked on, and the tanks rolled on. There are rumors there. I mean, I believe, there's a couple, 2 or 3 individuals perhaps that, I mean, in some cases, the Chinese party somewhat claimed, but I don't think anyone else really knows who that man was and what exactly happened to him, because you can guarantee if the Chinese Communist Party, if they knew who he was, they would let you know what they did to him. That would become, that would be out there. It would escape, and everyone would know for sure, without a doubt, what happened, even though there might not necessarily be a body or something like that. But that has not occurred. That has not happened. And so here, 35 years later, it is on the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. And I know this video cannot be seen. It will not be seen in China. It probably won't even be able to be eligible for monetization. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to monetize. I'm going to turn it off now, whether YouTube does or not. I mean, they do their own thing. But I'm not going to monetize this video myself, because this video is just a way I can try to reach the people out there, to let them know that the West, the United States, has not forgotten about you, has not forgotten about the struggles you went through. Many of us, we know how cruel the regime is, even though there are many people now there who are forgotten, or who don't really know, because they know no better. They don't know any better. Their whole lives have been this way under this party and everything. But there is a better life. And there are those of us who do remember, and I will, in my very small, tiny way, every year, whether it's on Facebook or through making a video or sharing something, or just a little tweet, or whatever the case may be, share something so people don't forget this day, forget the Tiananmen Square massacre and what happened and what died that day. I don't know what the future holds. I mean, our world right now is a more crazy time than it has been probably since the mid-1930s in many aspects, things that are going on. There are people who should be smarter than they are and should know better, that are flaunting ideas and ideologies that are quite dangerous, in all honesty. And there aren't as many voices speaking out against those things. In our own society and our own culture here in the United States, there are many people who have been brainwashed by the Communist Chinese Party. In many ways, they've been brainwashed. Many through social media, through TikTok and different things like that. Also through the school system, particularly the secondary and collegiate level school system, where the Communist Party has been allowed to thrive and trickle down. And they're going about things differently, than they did in the 1920s, but it's still there. And no matter what anyone tells you, communism is not a good form of government. History has shown us that. It's dangerous, and it's there, and it's secret. The hammer and the sickle are alive and well and working in the fields and the factories throughout the Western world, unfortunately. But for those of you who have kept an eye on things and remember and know your history, thank you, and keep fighting the good fight. And in sharing this last part of this video of the footage of the lone man standing in front of those tanks, I hope that you take some hope. I hope that you take some solace, no matter where you are in the world.